Ladies, let me tell you something right now. Every man wants you to detach. And when I say detach, I don't mean stop caring. I don't mean stop loving. And I definitely don't mean stop showing up in the relationship. What I mean is men need to know you're not so wrapped up in them that you lose you. A man doesn't want a woman who's desperate, who's clinging, who's given up her whole world just to be in his. Because when you lose yourself in a man, he stops seeing your value. See, men are hunters by nature. We chase what we want. We respect what we earn. If you're always available, if you're always right there, no matter how he treats you, you're telling him, I don't need to be valued. I'll settle. And no real man wants that. He wants to know that you love him, yes, but he also wants to know that if he doesn't do right, you'll walk away. That's the power of detachment. You see, when a woman is detached, she's not acting out of fear. She's not begging a man to stay. She's not lowering her standards to keep him happy. She's saying, I love you, but I love me too. That's when a man straightens up. That's when he realizes, hold on, I can't play with this woman. She's got a life. She's got options. She's got standards. And believe me, men respect that. Now don't get it twisted. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean you act like you don't care. It means you don't attach your entire self-worth to a man's actions. It means you've got balance. You've got your own goals, your own peace, your own joy. That's what keeps the relationship healthy. Because here's the truth. If a man feels like you can't live without him, he won't value being with you. But when he sees you choose him, when he knows you're with him because you want to be, not because you need to be, that's when he'll give you his best. So every man wants you to detach, not because he wants distance, but because he wants to know the woman beside him is whole. He wants to know you're not clinging to him out of fear, but standing with him out of strength. Detachment is often misunderstood, especially by women who think that if they love a man, they have to prove it by giving him everything they've got, pouring out all their time, energy, and emotions until there's nothing left for themselves. But the truth is, detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about him. It doesn't mean you ignore him. And it definitely doesn't mean you love him any less. What it really means is that you love yourself enough to set boundaries, to keep your identity, and to maintain your dignity. A man doesn't want a woman who is so dependent on him that she can't function without him. He wants to know you're standing with him because you want to, not because you have no other choice. Detachment is a sign of self-respect, not disinterest. It's the ability to love someone deeply while still valuing your own worth and not putting yourself at risk of being walked over. When you practice detachment, you stop attaching your self-worth to how a man treats you on a daily basis. You stop saying things like, if he doesn't call me today, I'm worthless, or if he doesn't compliment me, then maybe I'm not beautiful. You realize that your beauty, your intelligence, and your value exist whether he notices them or not. That mindset is powerful because it takes away the desperation that so many women unintentionally project. A man can smell desperation from miles away. And the moment he feels like you're desperate for his attention or desperate for his approval, his respect for you starts to fade. On the other hand, when he sees you carry yourself with confidence, when he sees you able to give love, but also pull back if he's not doing right, that's when his respect grows. Detachment is not playing games either. Some women think, if I ignore him, if I withhold my love, that's detachment. No, that's manipulation, and manipulation never builds healthy relationships. True detachment means you still love openly, but you don't let that love blind you to bad behavior. You can give your all in a relationship and still know that if the man stops appreciating you, you have the strength to walk away. That is the deepest form of self-respect. And ironically, it's what makes a man step up. He knows you're not there because you're trapped. He knows you're not there because you can't survive without him. He knows you're there because you choose to be. And choice is what makes love valuable. Men don't want women to completely revolve their lives around them, because once you do that, you put all the pressure on the man to be your everything. No man can be your everything. He can be your partner, your lover, your friend, but he can't be the reason you wake up in the morning. He can't be the only thing that makes your life meaningful. That responsibility is too heavy for anyone, and over time, it causes resentment. But when you detach, when you have your own purpose, your own goals, your own joy outside of him, that's when the relationship breathes. That's when he feels inspired to be part of your life, not the entire reason for it. A woman with detachment walks differently. She talks differently. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't sit by the phone waiting for it to ring. She knows her worth. And because of that, she carries herself in a way that commands respect. And men notice it. A man who knows you can detach and still stand strong will treat you differently than a woman he knows will tolerate anything just to keep him around. It's not about being cold. It's about being complete. When you're whole, you can love without losing yourself. And that's the kind of love that lasts. Men are wired to value what they have to work for. It's not arrogance. It's simply human nature. When something comes too easily, we tend to take it for granted, and relationships are no different. If a man doesn't have to put in effort, if he doesn't have to show up, pursue, or prove his intentions, he won't truly respect what he has. That's why men value what they earn, not what is handed to them freely. When a woman gives everything without requiring effort in return, she thinks she's showing love, but what she's really showing is that she doesn't require him to invest. And people don't cherish what they don't invest in. Think about it this way. If a man has to work hard to buy a car, if he has to save his money, plan for months, and finally put down that payment, you better believe he's going to wash it, take care of it, and make sure it lasts. But if someone hands him a car for free, even if it's a good one, he won't treat it with the same level of appreciation because there was no sacrifice attached to it. The same principle applies to relationships. If you give a man all of your love, all of your time, all of your body, and all of your loyalty without requiring effort, commitment, and respect in return, he won't feel the weight of what he's been given. He'll assume it has no cost, so it has no value. Men are hunters at their core, and hunting requires pursuit. The pursuit is not about games, it's about investment. When a man pursues a woman, he's showing her that she matters, that she's worth effort, that he sees value in winning her heart. If she removes that process and just hands herself over without requiring anything, she robs him of the chance to earn her respect, and she robs herself of the chance to see what he's really made of. The truth is, if he doesn't have to work for it, he won't protect it. Effort builds appreciation. Sacrifice builds value. When a woman knows her worth, she doesn't make herself unattainable, but she makes herself worthy of pursuit. She allows a man to show up for her, to prove himself, to demonstrate consistency. That process separates men who are serious from men who just want convenience. Too often, women fear that if they don't give everything up front, the man will leave. But here's the reality. If he leaves because you required respect, he was never serious to begin with. The right man doesn't walk away because you value yourself. He leans in. He tries harder because deep down he knows that what you're asking for is the standard he should live up to. A man's pride is tied to his effort. If he feels like he earned your trust, if he feels like he had to show discipline, patience, and consistency to win your heart, then he cherishes it. But if you gave all that without him proving himself, he might take it for granted. Not because he's evil, but because he's human. Effort creates emotional ownership. And when a man feels ownership of his role in your life, he'll protect it fiercely. You never see a man bragging about something that was handed to him. But you'll see him brag all day long about something he worked for, something he sacrificed to achieve. That's how men operate in love too. He wants to feel like he earned the right to stand by your side, that he had to show he's worthy of your time and heart. That's when he values you deeply. And that's why giving everything away too soon never works in your favor. Real men don't want what comes without cost. They want to know they earned it. They want to know they proved themselves. And they want to know they are with a woman who holds herself at a high standard. Because when he has to climb the mountain to get you, he'll never treat you like something he found lying on the ground. Clinging in a relationship often comes from fear of losing someone, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. But what a man really respects in a woman is not that kind of fear-driven attachment, it's strength. When a woman clings, she sends a silent message that she doesn't trust the foundation of the relationship, and that insecurity starts to weigh heavily. It shows up in constant checking, constant questioning, or needing constant reassurance. At first, a man may tolerate it, but over time, it chips away at his respect. Men aren't drawn to fear, they're drawn to confidence, independence, and self-assurance. That strength is what makes a man see you as valuable, not just as a partner, but as someone he must work to keep. When a woman is strong, she doesn't base her worth on a man's actions. She doesn't panic if he's busy or if he needs space. She understands that distance doesn't equal disinterest, and she trusts the connection enough to let it breathe. A strong woman sets boundaries, she communicates with honesty, and she doesn't shrink herself just to hold on to someone. That kind of confidence commands respect because it shows a man that you're choosing him out of desire, not clinging to him out of desperation. Clinging also suffocates a relationship. When you cling, you crowd out the natural rhythm of give and take. You don't give the man space to miss you, to appreciate you, to reflect on how much you mean to him. And without that space, relationships lose their spark. A man values what he risks losing, not what he feels trapped in. Strength, on the other hand, creates balance. It says, I love you, but I also love me. It allows the relationship to have room to grow because both people feel free to be themselves, not pressured into constant validation. Fear-driven clinging often pushes men away because it communicates lack of trust. If you're always checking his phone, questioning his whereabouts, or doubting his loyalty, what you're really saying is, I don't believe you're committed. That kind of energy drains a man, and instead of making him stay closer, it makes him feel like he has to escape. But when you stand in strength, you send a completely different message. You show that you trust your worth enough to believe he'll stay, and if he doesn't, you'll still be fine. That assurance is attractive because men want a partner, not a dependent. Strength shows up in small ways too. It's in how you handle disagreements without falling apart. It's in how you pursue your own goals while still being supportive of his. It's in how you can enjoy your own company without needing him to fill every empty space in your day. That independence doesn't push him away. It actually draws him closer because he feels inspired by your completeness. A strong woman motivates a man to rise higher, to give more, to cherish what he has. A clingy woman, on the other hand, unintentionally lowers the bar because she's willing to accept less just to keep him. When a man looks at a woman who clings out of fear, he sees someone who needs him to feel whole. When he looks at a woman who stands strong, he sees someone who is already whole and is allowing him to share her life. That difference is powerful. A man can walk away from clinginess, but he will fight to hold on to strength because strength is rare and it tells him that you are not with him because you're afraid of losing him. You're with him because you value yourself and choose him. And nothing makes a man step up more than knowing he has to meet the level of a woman who won't settle for less. A woman who practices detachment understands the importance of keeping her life intact outside of her relationship. She knows that being with a man doesn't mean abandoning her own dreams, her own friendships, or her own sense of joy. In fact, the healthiest relationships are the ones where both people bring their fullest selves to the table. not where one person gives everything up to orbit around the other. When a woman keeps her goals, her passions, and her happiness alive, she sends a powerful message. I am complete on my own, and I choose to share that completeness with you. That is far more attractive to a man than someone who depends entirely on him for her sense of purpose. Too many women make the mistake of believing that once they're in love, everything else should take a back seat. They stop pursuing their careers, stop hanging out with friends, stop investing in hobbies, and over time, they shrink into someone they don't even recognize. At first, a man might enjoy the attention, but soon it becomes heavy. He starts to feel like he's carrying the weight of her happiness, like her entire world depends on him. That kind of pressure doesn't make a man feel closer. It makes him feel suffocated. But when a woman keeps her life vibrant and rich outside of the relationship, the man feels inspired instead of drained. He sees her as someone he wants to be around because she brings energy, joy, and purpose into the relationship. Having your own goals doesn't mean you're too independent to need a partner. It means you're strong enough to know that love should add to your life, not replace it. When a man sees you chasing your dreams, when he watches you light up doing the things you love, it creates admiration. He looks at you with pride. He brags about you, and he feels motivated to work harder himself. Men are natural providers, but they also love to be with women who have vision. It makes the relationship feel like a partnership, not a dependency. Joy is another key part of detachment. When you create your own happiness, when you find joy in things outside of him, you take the pressure off the relationship. Too often, people expect their partner to be the sole source of their happiness, and that expectation is impossible to fulfill. A man cannot fill every void, heal every wound, or satisfy every need. When you come into a relationship already joyful, already whole, he gets to enhance your life rather than fix it. That difference changes everything. He feels appreciated instead of burdened, valued instead of used. Men respect women who protect their own sense of self. If you're always available, always dropping everything for him, always sacrificing your own priorities, he might take it as convenience, but he won't take it as value. On the other hand, if you balance your love for him with love for yourself, if you maintain your boundaries and your personal goals, he'll step up to meet you at that level. He'll respect your time more. He'll invest in your happiness. And he'll value the space you hold in his life. When a man knows that you have your own life, he never forgets that being with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. You're not clinging because you need him to fill your world. You're inviting him to share in the beautiful world you've already built. That's the essence of detachment. It's not about creating distance. It's about maintaining balance. It's about loving fully while never losing yourself in the process. A woman who keeps her goals, her joy, and her independence is magnetic because she's not asking a man to complete her. She's allowing him to walk beside her as she continues to grow. And that kind of woman is unforgettable. Balance is what keeps a relationship alive and healthy. When love turns into desperation, it no longer feels like love. It starts to feel like pressure, like one person is carrying the entire weight of the relationship while the other is clinging out of fear. Men don't want that, and women don't truly want it either, even if they don't realize it at first. Desperation pushes people away because it takes away choice. It says, I need you no matter how you treat me, instead of, I want you because you add value to my life. Detachment creates the balance that lets love flourish. It means you can give love freely without making that love a survival mechanism. It means you can open your heart while keeping your dignity intact. When a woman is desperate, her actions usually reflect insecurity. She might overtext, overthink, overgive, or over-apologize just to keep a man interested. She places her entire happiness in his hands, and whether she realizes it or not, that energy communicates that she doesn't believe she's enough on her own. The problem with that is men respect strength, not desperation. They admire women who choose them not women who cling to them because they're afraid of being alone. Desperation drains attraction, while balance makes a woman magnetic. Balance shows itself when you can love without losing yourself. You can cook for him, support his dreams, and stand by him, but you can also take time for yourself, nurture your own goals, and have a life outside the relationship. That kind of woman doesn't make her man her entire identity. She makes him her partner. Men respond better to this balance because it feels healthier, freer, and more genuine. He doesn't feel like he's carrying the burden of being your entire world. Instead, he feels like he's sharing a life with you, which is what real love should be. A balanced woman doesn't panic when things aren't perfect. She knows relationships go through ups and downs, but she doesn't let those moments dictate her self-worth. If he's having a bad day, she doesn't assume it means he's lost interest. If he needs space, she doesn't blow up his phone or accuse him of pulling away. She trusts herself enough to know that her value doesn't decrease because he's struggling or distracted. That steadiness is attractive because it tells a man he can relax in the relationship instead of constantly managing her emotions. Balance also shows up in how she handles giving and receiving. Some women fall into the trap of giving endlessly without ever expecting anything back, thinking that unconditional sacrifice will secure a man's love, but over time, that one-sidedness creates resentment. Men, too, want to feel needed, appreciated, and challenged. When you balance giving with receiving, you let him step into his role, you allow him to contribute, and you show that you value yourself enough not to settle for crumbs. Balance means you pour into him, but you also require him to pour into you. Desperation makes a woman lower her standards. She'll accept late night calls instead of real dates, broken promises instead of commitment, excuses instead of effort. But balance says, I love you, but I expect consistency. I care for you, but I won't tolerate disrespect. I want this relationship, but I don't need it to define me. That mindset shifts the dynamic. The man understands that her love is a gift, not a guarantee, and that motivates him to protect it. The most powerful love is the one that flows freely, not the one chained down by fear. When you detach from desperation and lean into balance, you create space for joy, peace, and respect. He knows you're there because you choose him, not because you can't survive without him. And that's when he'll give you his best. Because men don't fall in love with desperation. They fall in love with a woman who is whole, steady, and balanced enough to love him without losing herself. There is a big difference between being needed and being chosen, and every man feels that difference deep in his spirit. When a woman attaches herself so tightly that she cannot imagine life without him, a man starts to feel less like a partner and more like a lifeline. It puts him in a position where he doesn't feel respected for who he is, but simply relied on because she cannot stand on her own. That is not love, it's dependence. And dependence doesn't inspire commitment. It inspires either complacency or resentment. What truly makes a man commit, what truly makes him step into his best version, is when he knows that the woman beside him is there because she wants to be, not because she has to be. When a man sees that you are capable of living fully without him, it changes the way he views you. It makes him realize that your love is a choice you make every single day, not something you're giving him out of fear of being alone. That choice is powerful. It says, I'm not with you because I need you to breathe. I'm with you because you add joy, peace, and value to my life. That's the kind of love that men respect because it mirrors their own deepest desire to be wanted, not merely tolerated. A woman who chooses her man instead of needing him is not afraid of walking away if the relationship becomes toxic. She loves deeply, but she is not blind, but she gives her heart, but she doesn't hand over her entire identity. This kind of strength creates security in the relationship because the man understands that she's not settling. He knows she's not staying out of desperation. And when a man understands that you're staying because you truly see something special in him, it makes him rise to that level. It makes him want to protect, honor, and cherish what he has because he doesn't want to lose the privilege of being chosen by you. Being chosen keeps the romance alive. Think about it. If you know someone needs you, the urgency to treat them well fades because in your mind, they'll always be there. But if you know they don't need you, that they could live a good life without you, but still wake up every day choosing to walk beside you, that makes you treasure them. Men are no different. When they feel chosen, they give more. They put in effort. They make sacrifices. They invest themselves because they see the relationship as something special, not something they can take for granted. This is why detachment is so critical. Detachment doesn't mean pulling away emotionally. It means creating a space where your love is powerful precisely because it isn't rooted in fear. Men are inspired by women who choose them because of what they bring, not because of what they fill. A man knows the difference between a woman who is clinging for survival and a woman who is standing tall and saying, I want you, but I don't need you. That statement alone shifts the entire dynamic. It tells him that your love is genuine, free, and intentional. The truth is, men rise to the level of the women they're with. When a man is with a woman who shows she can choose him every day without needing him to survive, he feels a responsibility to keep being worthy of that choice. That responsibility doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like an honor. And that's what makes him commit. He doesn't want to lose that place in your life. He doesn't want to lose being the one you continually choose. At the end of the day, men don't fall in love with need. They fall in love with choice. They don't give their best when they feel trapped. They give their best when they know they could be replaced, but they're not because you want them there. When a woman understands this, she holds the key to unlocking a man's deepest level of loyalty, commitment, and devotion. Because every man wants to be chosen, not needed.